Cheers.
We're good. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Monday, January 28th meeting of the Regional Governing Board of the Southwestern Regional Technical School District. We do have a quorum present, so we will proceed. Our first thing I'd like to announce is that our superintendent will not be joining us this evening because he's very sick with the flu. So he is hopefully recuperating. I'm going to open up with public comments. Do we have any public comments? Any? Nope, I guess not. So we're going to go right ahead with Marie Pierre. She is going to give us an update on the adult ed program. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, and thank you so much for giving me a little time. I just wanted to do a little showing off. We have our brochures. If you haven't received it, I'm going to make sure you have one. And what we did this time around, we've been doing a lot of testing where we're trying to make sure that the money we spend on anything is really money well spent. As was mentioning earlier on, I'm very stingy in the money I spend and things like that. So, and what you have here is, what we did this time around, we have two formats. And we were trying to decide which one would be the one that would be the best or the most popular. Turns out they both are. The manufacturers, the HR people, the companies, the Department of Labor, agencies, they prefer this one because they can show it to the people that come to them and have questions about the courses that we offer. And this one we had, you might have seen it in the banner a couple of weeks ago, and this one, it's exactly the same content, but it's a different format that turns out to be very popular with distributing that in the restaurants, the Blue Band, the more social areas in Bennington. And so far, we've had as many registrations from both sources, which is great, you know. And the registration forms are a little different so that I know where they come from. So it's a way for us to keep track of the data and how we spend things. In the banner, in the past, I think last year, for the fall, we printed 4,500 of the traditional brochure that we had for a few years, and about 3,000 were sent to people. And we got about 5% in return. And then we hand delivered a lot to the local company, and we've done the same thing, but this time around, what we did, we had 6,000 of these distributed with the Bennington banner, and then made an extra 1,000 for us to actually hand deliver as well to restaurants and things like that. I have two people helping. Allison Hoffman, who's helping us today, my husband, who's really a great guy, because he does a lot of driving for me, and he found that in some of the places where he was going, he had not enough room to put the brochure. So he made me little boxes so that we could do that. We're having Barb Garbati is making signs, so we're going to make sure that the CDC is advertised so that nobody steals our boxes. And then we're going to have these available in restaurants or, what do you say? He found a few places that he felt needed to be there. So what we've done a lot as well is we have also brought a lot of the brochures to school. We noticed, I noticed when I was working on all this that they were not really targeting enough. So we are, if you look at the courses actually, at some stage I give you a really good detail of all that. But we have more than double the number of courses we offer. About 79% are brand new courses, things we've never offered before. And the courses were not just, oh, I wish I were teaching this or anything like that. I listened to what the community was telling us. I listened to what some of the board members I talked to were telling me. We listened to the manufacturers, to the HR people, to anyone that was willing to tell me what I should do differently. I listened. And then, but I also had instructors that came to me and said, hey, do you know what? I really want to teach this PET certification program. Do you think there's an interest here? Turns out there is. We don't have a certification program in the area. So I would say a lot of what we're offering, we're testing. Everything that I collect data, it's like tendency to make sure I have numbers. And we are looking at how many people are signing up and what's the response, and we're keeping track on everything. We also tested a couple of formats, pricing formats. What people told me sometimes, they, well, you know, 15 hours, that's a lot of time, I can't always come, but, or it's too long for this or too long for that. So we have what we call the series, where you take a theme, and since you all have new iPads, for example, you may want to look at this one. There's a whole series about using iPads or products of any kind, iPhones, working with the cloud. So, but these are just workshops, 3 hours. So instead of taking a 15-hour course, you can take 5 3-hour courses, or just 2. And then we adjusted the pricing so that once you had passed a certain amount of courses, that it was beneficial to you, the individual, to you know, to take 1 or 2 more classes. And again, people are responding to these tremendously well. We tested it with culinary last semester, and on the first day of class, we had enough students to run the entire program, instead of having to cancel classes at the last minute. And again, when I talk more about the courses in a couple of months, I'll give you a comparison of where we were before and how we progressed along those lines. We also have about 14 new teachers, instructors, to help us with all these courses. Let's see. We have also added several categories that we did not have before. One is in continuing education. We actually did not have any courses for basic math or basic English. And these were courses that a lot of agencies were asking us about, and some of the manufacturers that wanted to help their participants. So we've added that. Professional development was also an area that we felt was missing. We had nothing for teachers, literally nothing, unless they wanted to take more computer classes or culinary classes. So now we actually have a few courses that are geared specifically for teachers in the area. And again, we have brought some of these brochures and posters to every single school, all the way to Manchester and Dorset. So the entire area that is our responsibility, we started reaching out over there. A couple of areas that we're struggling to find instructors for, or we're just starting to do other professionals. We have a gardening program with a wonderful instructor. So if you have a home garden, you want to know all about how to deal with it without using pesticides and things like that, he's a fantastic person. The superintendent, Mr. Colkin, is going to teach a couple of home repair classes. So we hope in the fall actually to have more of these classes, maybe a little auto mechanic or a couple of classes on I want to buy a house. What should I look for? What's the right angle? What's a good insulation? So we are constantly trying to add courses, but as I said, about 79% of the courses listed here are brand new. We've never offered them. One thing we're testing this semester is a blended course. We ran into a slight problem with one of our courses, and the instructor just disappeared. But we wanted the students to start learning, so what we're doing, a blended course is online plus face-to-face. So we're testing that format with that course. We have one course, pharmacy technician, that has about 20 hours online, and then the students would come to the classroom, they start tomorrow, and then they'll have the full-fledged support from the teachers. So again, we're trying to be with our time, which is use online and face-to-face at the same time. We actually are the only technical center in Vermont that's my understanding, that has a pharmacy technician course, and the state is talking to us to see how we can help the other centers, and we are hopefully going to be a best practice, which it's happening a little too fast for my liking, but it's kind of great. And then we're also working on the LNA, which is a licensed nursing assistant program that's taking a little longer than I'd like, but Again, we're working with the state and the Department of Labor on all these. Plus, we have a lot of things going on. One of the things we're trying to do is have people understand that adult education is more than just, learning how to find an egg. There's a lot of skills that can be learned through our programs. And we have a lot of talented instructors, so the quality is really there. But we just need, people don't know about us. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is anytime I get a chance, I talk people silly until they listen and maybe sign up for one class or two. And lastly, one thing that we're doing, adult education, you may have read that article a few weeks ago in the Bennington Banner about the little free library, which is basically a little library that you put in front of a public place, and then people put a book or take a book. It's just to promote literacy and that. So we are sponsoring a little free library. I'm married to a woodworker, so that's part of it. And it's going to be in front of the rec center, and it's being painted by one of the students in the arts program at Mount Anthony. So again, exposure, but anytime and every time supporting education, supporting what we do. I could keep on talking, but any questions or ideas?
Any questions or comments?
I think it's a great brochure.
Oh, thank you. So we've got a lot of really good feedback from.
Good. I got a comment. Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
I was just looking through here at some of the different classes. My goodness, what an array of different classes available. Some of the things I just went through a couple and I see names I've never recognized before. Is there some kind of a place where I can find like a resume?
That's what I'm collecting, yes. I'm putting together, thank you for asking. It's one of the things that I'm adding. What I want for each of my courses, I want a short biography for the instructor, background information, course outline, course syllabus, but that actually was never really in place before, so I haven't received that from everybody, but all my new instructors have provided me with that information. I talk to people, I interview people, and I make sure that I'm comfortable with why they're doing this. If they're just doing this because they think they're going to be rich, it's not going to happen. But if they're doing it because they care about the community, and you would be amazed at the amount of people that care about the community, that are just willing to come. Some of them I have to tell them, no, you don't have to pay, But I have a few classes that you'll see they're $5, just because it's a good motivator. And the instructor said, no, just put it back into the CDC and as a grant for a student that can't pay for a class. So, but yes, ultimately I want to have a little book that has everything about my instructors and the courses we offer.
Just to follow up on that, the part that I was reading here was in the business, and it talks about leadership in the workplace, and a gentleman's name is Russell Mills, and he's talking about on the right side of the law. I would just like to know, is he a lawyer? Is he a paraphrase? Legal?
He and his wife actually, they really do this because they care about us. They actually have a company, and they're actually hired by Fortune 500s. Like really, yeah, very impressive.
That's what I'd like to see there, so that I, as a
absolutely, but see,
customer, would
absolutely, and that's ultimately where I want to be. I'm testing things one step at a time. And where does it go? Does it go in the brochure I send to the HR people? Does it go to, community at large? That's the part that is going to be a little difficult for me to figure out. Or I'd like to see it available online. Then you can go and check out teaching sports. But absolutely, thank you for seeing that. Yeah.
Mr. Mills has been teaching here in the evening for several years now.
Yeah.
And I know because I've taken a couple of his classes.
Good. Frank?
Yeah, Jim, it's my opinion that this is the face of the future of technical education in the state of Vermont anyway. I don't know where else. So I'm hopeful that we will build a bridge to this program as it grows, because that's where your enrollment is.
Yes.
It's in adults, it's not in high school students.
These courses are available as well to high school students or in any students within the area that wish to take these courses. I have to pick up on what Frank is saying. This is absolutely true. The governor spoke in his inauguration at how important this is for our state, how important it is for our economy to have these type of courses and these type of offerings. What we used to call adult education, we're now talking about adults, continuing education, teacher professional development, online courses. You know, these are skill training courses that lead to job opportunities for people out there. So I want to make sure that as we're on camera that the public is well aware. A 79% increase in course offering is phenomenal. Please get a hold of one of these brochures if you're interested in our courses. And I know many people out there are. The titles across the top are in business, computer, continuing education, culinary, enrichment, hospitality, digital graphics, language, medical, manufacturing, professional development, online, and day classes. So please, it's really exciting to see this develop, as you said, Frank, and I'm sure it's going to be the wave of the future.
And just to mention that actually the governor mentioned our composites program.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I was really happy to see that he remembered us, because they tend to forget it was down south, you know.
Mm-hmm. We know that.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming this evening. Very well. Back on the key here. Committee reports. We're going to skip over the strategic planning because Gloria was not able to make it this evening, but she is very active, and so is the committee. And I can tell you, we're working very hard on doing an evening of getting people and businesses together. And we'll be hearing and seeing more on that. So that is in progress. Is there anything from finance? I believe there is. The budget is our main topic there. Policy. Leon, did we have anything that you wanted to update us on?
Yes. At our last meeting, regular board meeting, we talked about the tuition non-residence student admission policy. And we had that researched and brought back up. It was all set to go, so we reviewed it and read it at our meeting that was held on the 14th. And it's policy 3106C, which is the reference in the minutes there for this policy. So the only thing that was needed was for Jim to take action and go over to New York and start talking, because everything's all in place.
Thank you, Lee.
That's it.
Okay. Let's move to the consent agenda. The minutes for the full board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second. Seconded by Ed. Any discussion on those minutes? And those are in the Dropbox. All in favor then of approving the minutes? Please signify by raising your hand. And that's unanimous. We had a special meeting, and that was to approve the budget, and there are minutes that need to be approved for that as well. And that occurred on January 3rd. We'll have a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
Frank, and seconded by Kevin. Any discussion on those? All in favor then, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Abstain? 1 and 2 abstain.
I wasn't here.
They weren't here. Okay. You got them both, yeah. Okay. Warrants. I'd like a motion to accept both the payroll and the vendor warrants.
Could we break out warrant number 13, only because I have an in-law who's on the...
Break it out in what way? Remove it.
So that we vote on the others as a batch, but this one will be voted on separately. That way I can abstain from this one and vote on the others.
Okay, so you want to break out payroll number 13.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept payroll number 13.
Second.
Okay, Ricky has made the motion, Kevin has seconded it on payroll warrant number 13. All those in favor then of that, please signify by raising your hands. And we have one abstain.
I'd also like to make the motion to accept payroll warrant 1023, number 14, 1024, number 15, and payroll warrant number 1026.
Second it.
Seconded by Kevin. Any discussion on the payroll warrants?
I have a couple of questions just for my own knowledge that I'm curious about a couple of them. There's a $1,000 expense here for repair to replace a damaged water fountain.
We're on the, that's not payroll, you're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Yeah, you have anything on the payroll warrants?
No.
Okay. So, no discussion on the payroll warrants. All those in favor of approving those? And that's unanimous.
I'll make the motion that we accept the vendor warrant 1025, 1027, and 1028.
Second.
And seconded by Kevin. Discussion. All right, Ed?
I can't tell whether I'm looking at warrant number 15 or 1026, but there was an item here for the replacement of a water fountain, and I was just wondering, how was it damaged?
It was damaged by vandalism. We got $150 from the appropriate party. This is a new and improved water fountain that will fill water bottles. The original one was still usable. There was a dent in it, the top of it, which could not be replaced. So it's, I guess you could say the replacement one, which they were working on today, is new and improved and a good thing to do for the students, and recycling, and there's a computer in it, and so on and so forth.
No, I just wondered the source of the damage, whether it was repeated use or something else.
14. Any other questions on the warrant, vendor warrants? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote on those. All in favor of accepting the vendor warrants, please signify by raising your hands. That is unanimous.
I did have one thought on the warrants as I was reading them, where there were expenses for the nurse over at Mount Anthony, the allocation point, and I wondered, do we have any kind of documentation on how often students from the CDC actually go over there?
No.
With the idea being that perhaps it would be to our advantage to pay a per instance cost as opposed to an allocated.
I don't know if you would want to get into any of that type of arrangement. We have a nurse in the room here. There can, as far as my thoughts on this are, is you never want to have anything, any notion of anything to prevent a student from seeing a nurse. Any kind of issue, I guess that's the word. It's my opinion.
Well, that wasn't the intent of the question. The point was, if it's a nominal $20 charge every time a CDC student went over there, that might be a lot cheaper than paying 25% of their cost routinely.
I guess that's probably something that could be brought up in future discussions on the allocation plan. So, if we did not have this arrangement with a high school, we'd have to provide our own nurse.
Understood.
The allocation plan is going to be discussed in finance, so its budgets are passed, and we are looking to work with Mount Anthony. We've been in some meetings already over that. So that is something, Ed, that can be addressed at the same time. And Finance Committee.
Well, we might be getting the best deal now, but without factual information on the number of events, you don't know.
Well, the thing too is that, in my way of thinking, you come over here from Mount Anthony, and see, you're our student and their student at the same time. If somebody from Arlington or Sunderland, that's another story. So there's different ways you can look at this.
True.
Is there any discussion on the financial statements that have been provided in your packet? The cash flow statement, cumulative cash flow for the month of December, revenues and expenses. All right, hearing then we're going to move on to the action items. The first item on the action items is to warn the annual budget, and I would like a motion to do that.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Kevin and seconded by Ricky. Any discussion on this? I think that it's pretty well discussed out. I think we're fairly well set. All in favor then?
Just
Yes,
one thing,
Francis.
for the audience or the people there, just tell what the increases are and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, the bottom line of the budget.
Okay, you'd like a
No,
summary?
the end results, like Ricky said, just what's the rate, that's all.
Okay.
4%, 3%, whatever it is.
Do you want to do that for us, Greg?
I have to go get that particular information. I wasn't prepared for this
Yeah.
third discussion.
I can,
The budget's up an even 3%.
That's all you need is what
That's
we're
it.
looking for.
That's you
Yeah.
have a dollar amount that's right on your warning.
Right.
yeah.
No, that's what I was looking for, it's a 3%, that's fine.
3%.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
It's probably one of the lowest, I think, of any school district in the area. And it also reflects an average of an increase of only about 1.2 over the past three years. So it's really been scrutinized to the best of our ability. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of warning this budget? Please signify by raising your hand. And that is unanimous.
Just ask that everybody sign. There's 2 copies of the warning. We'll be taking that to the clerk's office tomorrow, and that becomes the ballots.
I'm going to pass those around. They're on this clipboard right here right now. So send one this way. Send one that way. We have 2 field trips for action items for approval here. We have a field trip for cosmetology to New York City and one for pre-law to go to Washington. These are out of state and overnight, so they do require board approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Leanne and seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor then approving these 2 field trips, please signify by raising your hand. That's unanimous as well. And the last thing on our action is to approve the minimum and optimum class size policy number 6400C, which was warned at the last meeting. I need a motion for that as well.
So moved.
Seconded by Leanne, seconded by Kevin. Discussion. None?
I think that
Dan?
it's a great start for a policy, because I know we've struggled with this for years. But I personally have an issue with the statement where we say a yearly minimum of 10 students per class and 10 FTEs, because I think we're locking, by saying 10 students per class, and that's a great goal, but I think we're locking into words something that probably is not achievable. In a program class that goes for 2 years, there's going to be years when you have 15 or 16 students in the first year class, and then you're going to have 8 left in the second year class. So by saying we want 10 in writing like this, it just doesn't work. But I totally agree with the idea of 10 FTEs as a base for what we expect the teachers to carry.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to comment on this policy? All right.
Jim, what were the teachers' response to that? Do we know?
We haven't really received any.
Do we ask them? Just out of curiosity.
Well, we have had a couple that sit in on the policy creation. We've had Bruce lead it there. Haven't had much of any response. It's been warned for 30 days. It's been out there. Anybody can comment on it. I would like to say, though, that we did put in that policy it's very obvious that it's going to be the superintendent's discretion.
Right.
And I think that is the key. He's going to work with faculty and staff, and it will be his recommendation to the board whenever there's going to be anything that needs to be addressed concerning class sizes.
So again, just the basis for that policy is just to make sure we have classes activity reviewed annually. That's what it is. It's not binding and saying something's going to happen. It says review them, and the superintendent director is required to review those things and come back to the board and say this is where we stand with things. And then the board, if it's interested in doing something, will make note of that at that time.
Well, so there is a reaction.
If you want to take one.
Well, yes, but you said there wasn't at first, and there really is.
The reaction is that if yearly, the superintendent is required to look at these classes.
Right, I agree with that. But
So, and that's it. And when he looks at it, the results of his review is to inform the board what he looked at. And what do you do with that?
I'd also like to reiterate that we are, by law, Act 153, required to produce a policy that addresses both minimum and maximum class size. So that's why it's here. Any further discussion? Then I'd like to see a vote on that. Please raise your hand if you want to approve this policy. And abstain, or excuse me, oppose the policy. All right. Barb, did you get the full count? All right, the policy is approved as presented. The chairman's report. I do not have anything other than what I've already mentioned as far as what we are working on with the strategic planning. I would like to keep you abreast as we develop more. I think our next meeting is very important. We're going to lay the groundwork for asking the community to come together and help us look at the courses that we offer, that are both student courses and adult education courses. We're looking for community input, basically, as far as the center goes. We're looking at maybe a new mission, a new vision, and that involves community input. As again, the governor has stated, he's looking for all technical centers to come together and invite in the community. And when we say the community, we're talking not just business members of the community, we're talking the services, the hospital, the police department, the fire department. What is it that they think that we should be doing here at this tech center as we progress over the next 5, 10, 20 years? So we're working on identifying how we're going to have somewhat of a roundtable discussion with community members, and how we're going to get them here, how it's going to be facilitated, how we're going to get their input. And that's coming up within the next couple months. That's all I have. We do not have a superintendent's report this evening.
I got one question.
Yes, Leanne.
I just wanted to know where you were trying to get on the agenda for Mount Anthony or SBSU for the field.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Yes.
Agricultural.
Yes. I called Ken Swirad. He said that they are well aware that we're trying to get into their meeting, their education committee meeting. They're not having one this month. They're pretty tied up, I guess, with their budget. And he does not know when the next meeting is planned. He will let me know, though. He said well in advance when that does happen. They are aware that we want to come in and address the ag program, and they're looking forward to us coming. They just haven't set that date yet.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I have another when you get to that.
Okay. So Mr. Culkeen will have his report on February 12th for us. That's our next meeting. There will be no executive session this evening. That's also going to be canceled. The information he has will be delayed for that meeting as well. Another question? Yes.
On the others.
Under others. Okay.
You there?
I'm there.
Okay. I should have covered this on the policy, during our policy meeting, and there was some discussion, the review in terms of communication between the SBSU Mount Anthony and the CD Center when it comes to policies. All of the students that operate, and most of we have the same policies, so it was decided, and we discussed that having the administrative secretaries send one policy information note to the other back and forth. So both Catherine and both agreed to that. So that if Mount Anthony, an SVSU is wanting a policy, adopting a policy, they'll send it to Sandy. And if Sandy, when we're having a wanting and an adopting of a policy, it'll be going to Lisa over in central office, so that both places will be aware of what's going on. Okay.
Good. Improved communication.
That's right.
We're always up for that. Is there anything else anyone would like to address?
Move we adjourn.
Right, moves we adjourn. Do I have a second from Ricky? All in favor? Aye. Very good. Please drive careful out here this night. It's very slippery.
About 75.
Especially the back roads.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Listen, being on SUV, some of us still know how to drive with rear